First of all, okay, so thank you very much, Neville. Neville Isdell, thank you for joining this interview this afternoon with Peace Parks. And very excited to have you on Peace Parks TV on the channel. Perhaps we can just start off by asking you to introduce yourself and give a little bit more of your background.
I work for a little company called Coca-Cola Company and lived in 11 countries on 5 continents over a 43-year career. I retired about 12 years ago now. And really, I have invented a new life. And most of that is around all the issues of the environment, the preservation of nature, and worrying about what we're doing to our planet.
We are involved as Peace Parks Nation in large landscapes, large transboundary conservation areas. Why do you personally feel that the development and protection of these large protected areas, large level landscape protected areas are so important?
Well, I think there are a number of things tied in here, but I think the first thing, of course, which is unique about Peace Parks is the trans-border nature. And the fact that we don't recognize, or we are forced to negotiate so that we don't recognize, by the reality of individual governments and lines that were arbitrarily put across a map of Africa. And therefore, managing these systems on a political geographic basis is not ideal. And certainly that sub-optimization means that the effect that any particular endeavor has, unless it looks at it as an ecosystem, then it just doesn't work very well. And that's what's unique about Peace Parks. And it's not easy to couple these things together. It really isn't. But it does recognize that we have to look at these as total systems. And probably the biggest one now that we have is CASA, which is 5 countries all looking into one, and they're looking at the Kavango whole Zambezi entity, which is a massive project now, but reflects the reality of what needs to be protected. So otherwise you're dealing with bits and pieces, but you're not looking at the total picture, and you're not affecting the total picture. So that's the one thing which I think is very, very important. I think the other thing is the degree to which Peace Parks recognizes the need to work with communities. That this is not about nature, not about animals, it's about people as well. And unless the people are really engaged in what we are undertaking, we are going to fail. So the community engagements, and Werner, we do all sorts of things in terms of fisheries and rivers to help. I'm involved in that one, but also we employ the people so that they see that there is skin in the game, as it were, major skin in the game for them. And then the other thing that happens is, as a result of what we've done with parks that have been completely run down. If you look at Mozambique, what's happened with Zanav and Bain. If you look at what we're doing with Siomingwezi in Zambia, restocking. So you're recreating something that was always there in nature, but has been basically poached and shot out. So I think that's the other dimension. So it's repopulating in terms of flora and fauna and animals, all of that, but also creating something which is not just special, but special for the people who live and work there as well. So it's a holistic approach, which is the reason that I'm really strongly engaged.
Why is the work that we're doing here as Peace Parks Foundation in Africa, is it of global importance? We all know that there are some real challenges in Africa, right? I mean, there's extreme poverty. We have massive deforestation figures. We've got massive land degradation taking place on a daily basis. And what do you think needs to be done more, and in the conservation context, to achieve impact at scale? Because this is a matter of scale. If you really want to make a difference, we unfortunately have to also do so at scale. Africa is an incredibly large tract of land. So what do you think needs to be done more to achieve conservation impact at scale?
I think that the short answer to what really should we be doing more of? We should be doing more of making people believe, I don't say understand, make people believe the value of what we do and the value of that to their countries and to their society as a whole. And if all we do is create little islands, which are large zoos, that is not going to be enough to be able to protect it. It's got to be integrated into a national plan. It's got to be integrated into communities. We work with a very good senior chief in Zambia, Senior Chief Yeta, who you talk to him. He's as passionate about it, more passionate about it than I am, because it's his land, it's his people. But unless we reinforce that, we will fail. But I think the recipe that Peacebox has in terms of doing that gives us probably the best chance there is of being able to achieve the maintenance of those protected areas.
Neville, you come from the private sector, and having probably achieved one of the highest positions in the corporate ladder, being chairman and CEO of Coca-Cola. From a business community perspective, what can be done more? What's your advice, or what's your plea to the business community in terms of providing support or helping or any other resources, and in terms of supporting development work in Africa?
I would say development, but also pressure on business to recognize that they have a much broader remit than just to deliver a short-term profit to the shareholders. And I actually think that COVID has moved us forward about 5 years in terms of all of this, understanding the interconnectivity we have with the landscapes in which we live and which other people live. So I've been an advocate when I was running Coke as well about looking at the broader issues. The key one that I was involved in with Coke was water, and was involved in a number of water projects. And I made a commitment back in 2005 that the Coca-Cola system, not just us, but our franchisees, would be water neutral by 2020. And that included the product as well. People thought I'd taken leave of my senses, but I had an incident where an analyst asked me, why was I spending shareholder money on all these water issues? And I sort of held up, I've got one here, if I may lean forward, and I sort of sipped it rather theatrically, and I looked at it and I said, don't you think I need to worry about one of my key ingredients? Water. And I'm proud to say I retired in 2009, but by 2015, my successor could actually announce that the whole system was water neutral. So that's the virtuous circle that I think is required by business to understand where they have a negative footprint and to make sure that they eliminate that negative footprint. Yes, there are other nice things to do, but if they're core to the business, as water was to Coca-Cola, then you're going to get change, fundamental change about how business extracts from the commons.
Neville, what is your vision for the future of Africa's conservation areas? Well,
more of what we're doing would be the answer. But I would come back to the biggest thing is we need to advocate more for the changes that are needed. Obviously, one of the things that we've done in Peacebox is heighten the awareness of the detrimental effect of rhino poaching and of ivory poaching. So it doesn't contain itself to Africa. There's a global issue to this that we have to address, so people understand what they're actually doing as well. So I think ratcheting up our effectiveness with governments and society as a whole, that this is in many areas, one of the untouched landscapes for the world, not for Africa, for the world. And we need to think about it in those terms.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for having this discussion. I really, really appreciate it.